The stars twinkled peacefully above NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston when everything changed. It was supposed to be a routine day monitoring the Mars colonization fleet. Instead, humanity received its first proof that they weren't alone in the universe. Tom Baker, the night shift supervisor, nearly spilled his coffee when all screens suddenly went dark. Before he could reach for the emergency protocols manual, the displays lit up with a message in perfect English. Attention Earth representatives. The Galactic Council requests immediate audience. Someone's idea of a joke, Tom muttered, reaching for his phone to call security. But before he could dial, a shimmer of light filled the room. Where empty space had been moments before, 3 tall figures now stood. Their skin had a subtle metallic sheen, and their eyes seemed to shift colors like oil on water. The tallest of the 3 stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Gray of the Galactic Council. Your species has advanced enough to warrant attention." The way he said attention made Tom's spine tingle. Within hours, every major government received the same visitors. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session where Ambassador Gray addressed Earth's leaders. His message was not what anyone had hoped for. "Earth has been monitored since your first radio signals," Gray announced, his voice carrying an artificial smoothness that made it sound almost too perfect. "The Council has grave concerns about humanity's development. Your species shows concerning levels of aggression, tribalism, and technological advancement without corresponding emotional maturity." The UN Secretary-General leaned forward. "With respect, Ambassador, we have made great strides in peaceful cooperation and scientific advancement." Gray's color-shifting eyes fixed on her. "You split the atom and immediately used it for weapons. You developed spaceflight and immediately began planning military applications. Even now, your nations maintain arsenals that could destroy your planet several times over." Murmurs filled the chamber as Gray continued. "The Council has decided. Earth will be placed under quarantine. Your space programs will be suspended. Your technological development will be monitored and controlled. This is for your own protection and the protection of the galactic community." The Chinese representative stood up. "And if we refuse?" The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees as Gray smiled. "Refusal is not an option. The Council's decision is final. We have already positioned our fleet in your solar system. Resistance would be inadvisable." As if to emphasize his point, massive ships appeared in orbit around Earth, becoming visible as they deactivated their cloaking technology. Each was larger than any human-made structure, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metal. But the Council had made 3 critical mistakes. First, they assumed humanity would react with fear. Instead, their threats sparked anger and determination. Second, they revealed their presence to everyone simultaneously, preventing any single nation from trying to strike a separate deal. And third, they greatly underestimated humanity's capacity for unity in the face of external threats. As Gray and his fellow ambassadors departed, leaving Earth's leaders to consider their position, they missed the significant looks being exchanged across the chamber. They didn't notice the subtle hand signals between military representatives or the quick taps on secure tablets. In orbit, the Council ship's commanders congratulated themselves on a successful first contact. Their sensors showed no unusual military activity, no aggressive moves. Just humans going about their business, apparently accepting their new reality. They didn't know that deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in bunkers under the Urals, and in facilities hidden in the Australian outback, humanity was already preparing its response. They couldn't detect the quantum-encrypted messages flying between military commands or the emergency protocols being initiated worldwide. Admiral Bill White stood in No Raid's deepest command center, watching as reports flowed in from around the globe. Every nation, despite their differences, was sending the same message. "We will not submit." "They think they know humanity," he said to the room full of senior officers. "They think they've seen our capacity for violence." He smiled grimly. "Let's show them what humanity's capacity for survival looks like instead." The first phase of Earth's response was already beginning, and the Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. The Galactic Council's ships hung in Earth's orbit like massive silver clouds. For 3 days, they watched and waited, expecting Earth to officially accept their terms. Instead, they observed what appeared to be business as usual. Civilian flights continued. Satellites maintained their orbits. Ground activities showed no signs of panic. Captain Stone of the Council's enforcement fleet grew increasingly uneasy. Something isn't right, he told his second-in-command. They're too calm. He didn't know that Earth's apparent calm masked a flurry of hidden activity. Deep underground, the world's military forces were executing a plan decades in the making. Since the Cold War, every major power had maintained secret protocols for extraterrestrial contact, including hostile ones. The first sign that something was wrong came when several defunct satellites suddenly changed course. The Council's sensors registered them as space debris, harmless remnants of Earth's early space age. They had no way of knowing these satellites contained experimental quantum sensors, mapping every detail of the Council's ships. "Sir," a Council technician called out, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from Earth's polar regions." Before Captain Stone could respond, his ship's AI reported multiple launches from Earth's surface. "Primitive nuclear missiles," he announced dismissively to his crew. "Their weapons can't penetrate our shields." But these weren't missiles. They were something far more dangerous, specialized EMP devices designed to operate in space. When they detonated, they didn't explode. Instead, they released precisely targeted electromagnetic pulses that interfered with the Council ship's sensors. For 30 crucial seconds, the Council fleet was blind. In those 30 seconds, Earth launched its real response. From hidden bases in the Mariana Trench, from underground facilities in the Sahara, and from secret mountain bunkers, humanity's true space fleet emerged. These weren't the clumsy rockets the Council knew about. These were ships built in secret over decades, incorporating reverse-engineered technology from crashed alien vessels that governments had kept hidden for years. Multiple threats detected. The Council ship's AI blared as its sensors came back online. But by then, Earth's ships were already in attack position. Admiral White's voice broadcasted across all frequencies. "This is Earth Space Command to Council forces. You have violated multiple sections of your own first contact protocols. We have documented every breach. You have 2 options: withdraw immediately or face the consequences of your actions." Captain Stone laughed. "You think your primitive vessels can challenge the Council? We have dominated space for 10,000 years. Actually," Admiral White replied calmly, "we were counting on that arrogance." Earth's ships launched their first attack. Instead of traditional weapons, they fired specialized devices that attached to the Council ships' hulls. These devices had been designed based on decades of studying alien technology, specifically to exploit the overconfidence of advanced civilizations. The devices activated, creating localized disruptions in the Council ships' shield harmonics. Areas of their supposedly impenetrable defenses began to flicker and fail. "Impossible," Captain Stone shouted as warning alerts filled his bridge. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." "No," Admiral White responded. "We just let you think it was. Humanity has a long history of keeping our best weapons secret. You should have studied our history more carefully." The Council fleet attempted to regroup, but Earth's ships had already divided them into smaller, more manageable targets. Each Council vessel found itself surrounded by multiple Earth ships, all targeting the weak points revealed by their scanning satellites. "This is your final warning," Admiral White announced. "Withdraw your forces and inform the Council that Earth rejects their terms. We are willing to join the galactic community, but as equals, not as subjects." Captain Stone watched in disbelief as his fleet's defensive systems continued to fail. In just 1 hour, humanity had done what no species had managed in centuries. They had successfully challenged the Council's military might. As he ordered his ships to retreat, Captain Stone realized the Council had made their worst mistake in millennia. They had tried to cage a species that had spent its entire history preparing for exactly this kind of fight. The message sent back to the Galactic Council was brief. First engagement failed. Earth possesses unexpected capabilities. Request immediate reinforcements. While the Council's first fleet retreated to lick its wounds, Earth entered a state of organized chaos. In the Grand War Room beneath Mount Cheyenne, military commanders from every nation gathered to plan humanity's next move. They knew the Council would return, and with much greater force. Commander Marcus stood before the massive holographic display showing Earth's defenses. The Council made one critical mistake, he said, addressing the room full of generals and admirals. They judged us by our public technology, not our true capabilities. Satellite feeds showed the Council's reinforcement fleet gathering at the edge of the solar system. This force was 10 times larger than the first one. Massive carrier ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their metal hulls gleaming against the darkness of space. They think numbers will overwhelm us, Admiral White said, studying the incoming fleet. Let's show them how humanity fights when backed into a corner. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, automated factories that had been hidden for decades worked at full speed. They weren't building traditional weapons. Instead, they created swarms of small, intelligent drones designed to work together like schools of fish. Each drone was barely larger than a coffee cup, but together they could tear apart ships hundreds of times their size. In orbit, construction crews worked around the clock to modify civilian space stations. Solar panels became covers for weapon ports. Communication arrays transformed into electronic warfare systems. Every piece of human technology in space was being turned into a weapon or a shield. But Earth's greatest weapon wasn't its technology, it was information. The Council doesn't know we've been reading their transmissions, explained Dr. Ross, head of Earth's Cyber Warfare Division. She pointed to streams of decoded alien text flowing across her screens. They communicate in the open because they think their language is unbreakable. That's their second mistake. The decoded messages revealed the Council's battle plans, their ship formations, and most importantly, their fears. The Council's commanders were worried. No species had ever resisted them so effectively. Some even questioned whether Earth should have been approached differently. Commander Marcus unveiled humanity's master strategy, codenamed Operation Thunderstorm. It wasn't just one plan, but thousands of small, interconnected plans. If the Council blocked one approach, 3 more would take its place. Humanity has spent its entire history fighting, Marcus explained, not just against each other, but against nature, against limitations, against everything that tried to hold us back. We've learned to be creative. The preparation took many forms. Civilian pilots trained on simulator programs, learning to fly converted cargo ships that would serve as backup carriers. Factory workers adapted their assembly lines to produce vital components for space warfare. Even children contributed, their video game skills being secretly used to help program drone swarm behaviors. Deep in the Antarctic ice, scientists activated Project Mirror, massive arrays of quantum computers dedicated to predicting and countering Council tactics. These computers had been built years ago, hidden from the world, waiting for a moment like this. We've spent centuries preparing for every possible threat, Admiral White told the assembled leaders. Aliens, asteroids, artificial intelligence gone wrong. Humanity has planned for it all. Now those plans will save us. In orbit, Earth's first true battle fleet took shape. It wasn't pretty. Civilian ships flew alongside military vessels. Hastily attached weapons stuck out at odd angles. But every ship, every weapon, every system had been designed with one purpose: to survive and win against a technologically superior enemy. Commander Marcus received word that the Council fleet would arrive in less than 24 hours. He stood at the command center window, watching crews load the last of the supplies onto transport ships. Send the message to all commands, he ordered. Operation Thunderstorm begins at dawn. Across Earth, billions of humans waited and watched. They knew the next day would determine humanity's future. But unlike the Council's predictions of panic and fear, the overwhelming mood was one of determination. In his private office, Marcus looked at an old photo of his grandfather, a World War II veteran. "You taught me that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons," he said to the image. "It's our ability to face impossible odds and find a way to win." The final hours of peace ticked away as humanity prepared to show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of when pushed too far. The Council's reinforcement fleet arrived with the dawn. Their ships filled Earth's skies like artificial stars, stretching from horizon to horizon. The Council's new commander, High Admiral Rex, allowed himself a small smile. No primitive species could stand against such overwhelming force. "Send the message," Rex ordered. "Tell them to surrender or be destroyed." The response came instantly, but not in words. Across Earth, thousands of hidden launchers emerged from their camouflaged positions. The Council's sensors registered a massive spike in energy readings, but by then it was too late. Operation Thunderstorm began with lightning. Humanity's first wave wasn't ships or missiles, it was data. Earth's quantum computers launched the most sophisticated cyber attack ever created. Viruses that had been crafted for decades slipped through the Council's supposedly unbreakable defenses. "Status report," Rex demanded as his bridge displays flickered. "Their attack makes no sense," his tech officer replied. "The code, it's changing as we try to stop it. It's learning." Humanity had created adaptive computer viruses based on their own immune systems. Each time the Council blocked one attack, the virus evolved into something new. While the Council's crews fought their malfunctioning systems, Earth launched its real attack. The drone swarms went first. Millions of tiny machines, each one barely visible to the naked eye, surrounded the Council ships like clouds of metallic insects. The Council's weapons couldn't target something so small. Their energy shields were designed to stop large objects, not microscopic machines that could slip through the gaps. "What are they doing?" Rex watched in horror as the swarms attached themselves to his ship's hulls. The drones weren't attacking, they were mapping. Each one reported weak points in the Council ship's armor, creating a perfect target map for Earth's main fleet. Commander Marcus gave the order. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta." Earth's fleet emerged from hiding. They didn't fly in the neat, organized formations the Council expected. Instead, they moved like a school of fish, constantly shifting and changing direction. Civilian cargo ships that had been converted into carriers released waves of fighters. Old satellites suddenly revealed themselves as missile platforms. "Impossible," Rex muttered as he watched Earth's response unfold. Their technology. They'd been hiding their true capabilities for centuries. The Council fleet tried to maintain formation, but Earth's forces had studied their tactics for years. Human ships targeted the exact points where Council formations were weakest. When the Council adapted, humanity's strategies evolved faster. "They're inside our decision loop," Rex's tactical officer reported. "They're countering our moves before we make them." The quantum computers of Project Mirror had run millions of combat simulations. They knew the Council's tactics better than the Council did. Each human ship received constant updates, telling them exactly where to strike next. The first Council capital ship fell when a swarm of drones found a tiny gap in its engine shielding. The drones sacrificed themselves to deliver a concentrated EMP burst directly into the ship's power core. The massive vessel died silently, its lights flickering out like a candle in the wind. This was humanity's true strength, not just their weapons, but their way of thinking. While the Council relied on overwhelming force, humans fought like they had evolved to hunt, with patience, teamwork, and careful observation of their prey's weaknesses. "Message from Earth Command," Rex's communication officer announced, voice shaking. "They say, this is your last chance to withdraw. Next time, we won't hold back." Hold back. Rex stared at his tactical display. A third of his fleet was already disabled or destroyed. This wasn't their full attack. The truth dawned on him too late. This battle wasn't about destroying the Council fleet. It was a message, a demonstration of what humanity could do when threatened. The Council had expected to fight savages. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that had spent its entire history preparing for this moment. As Rex ordered his remaining ships to retreat, he realized the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had not just survived first contact, they had changed the rules of warfare itself. The battle was over, but the war for Earth's future was just beginning. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council erupted into chaos. Hundreds of alien representatives shouted and argued as reports of Earth's victory played on the massive screens above. The Council's leadership had gathered for what they thought would be a routine update on Earth's submission. Instead, they watched recordings of their mighty fleet retreating from human forces. High Counselor Vex pounded his ceremonial staff against the floor. Order. We must have order. The chamber doors burst open. A human figure walked in, wearing a simple black suit. Ambassador Jack Wilson strode to the center of the chamber, his footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. He carried nothing but a small data device. Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council, Wilson's voice was calm but carried to every corner of the vast chamber. Earth requests an audience. How dare you enter these sacred chambers uninvited? Vex's face turned a deeper shade of blue with anger. Guards. Wilson held up the data device. Before you remove me, you might want to see what I'm carrying. Your fleet's retreat gave us access to some very interesting information. The device projected a hologram in the center of the chamber. Documents, videos, and data streams filled the air around Wilson. Each one showed evidence of the Council's crimes, not just against Earth, but against dozens of other species. For centuries, Wilson continued, you've been isolating and controlling developing civilizations. You call it quarantine. We call it oppression. The chamber erupted again, but this time with worried whispers. Many representatives recognized their own species in the evidence, worlds that had been quarantined for their own protection. This is classified information, Vex shouted. Those records are sealed by Council law. Wilson smiled. Yes, they were. Until your fleet's computers fell to our cyber attacks. Your encryption was impressive, but it turns out human quantum computers are quite good at breaking codes. He walked slowly around the hologram, pointing out specific cases. Here's the mineral rights you seized from the Proxima colonies. Here's the technology you stole from the Centauri system. And here, he paused for effect, is the record of your own laws about peaceful first contact. The same laws you broke when you threatened Earth. The other Council members began turning to Vex, their expressions demanding explanations. The High Counselor's composure cracked. You don't understand, Vex said. These measures were necessary. Some species are too dangerous to allow free development. No, Wilson replied. You were afraid. Afraid of species that might grow to challenge your power. But you made a mistake with Earth. We're not just another primitive civilization you can bully into submission. He pressed a button on his device. New holograms appeared. Earth's ships in action, the drone swarms, the advanced technology humanity had kept hidden. We could have shared this technology peacefully, Wilson continued. We could have been allies. Instead, you chose to threaten us. Now, you have a choice. The ambassador's voice hardened. Option 1. Reform the Council. End the quarantine system. Allow free development of all species. Work with us to create a fair and just galaxy. And Option 2. Someone asked from the crowd. Option 2 is less pleasant, Wilson said. We release this evidence to every species in the galaxy. We share our technology with all the worlds you've oppressed, and we lead them in dismantling the Council by force. The chamber fell silent. Everyone present understood the threat. Earth had proved it could defeat the Council's best fleet, if they armed and supported all the oppressed species. You're bluffing, Vex said, but his voice wavered. Wilson shook his head. Earth's ships are already making contact with other quarantined worlds. You have one standard day to decide. Choose wisely." He turned and walked out of the chamber, leaving the hologram running. Behind him, the council representatives began arguing again, but now the tone was different. Now they were discussing reform, change, and the future of the galaxy. Outside the chamber, Wilson allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had done what no other species had dared. They had brought democracy to the stars. Commander Rogers stood on the bridge of the Earth-ship Discovery, looking at a sight no human had ever seen before. A massive space station hung in orbit around a distant world, its surface dark and apparently abandoned. According to the stolen council records, this was Control Station 7, one of many facilities used to monitor quarantined species. "Life support systems are still active," his science officer reported, "but no signs of council personnel. They evacuated when they heard we were coming." Rogers smiled grimly. The council was learning to fear human persistence. His ship had spent the last month following leads from the captured databases, uncovering a network of surveillance and control that spanned the galaxy. "Begin docking procedures," he ordered. "Let's see what secrets they left behind." Inside the station, emergency lights cast eerie shadows through empty corridors. The crew moved carefully, their footsteps echoing in the abandoned halls. But they weren't really interested in the station itself. Their goal lay in its data centers. "Sir," Lieutenant Parker called from a terminal, "you need to see this." The screens came to life, showing records of countless civilizations. Some were still in their Stone Age, others were on the brink of space travel. All of them had been judged too dangerous by the Council. "They weren't just watching Earth," Rogers said, reading through the files. "They've been playing God with thousands of worlds." But something else caught his attention. Some of these species had developed technology that the Council found threatening. Not weapons, but innovations that could have changed the galaxy. Clean energy, advanced medicine, ways of traveling through space without massive ships. They weren't protecting the galaxy from violent species, Rogers realized. They were protecting their own power. A message flashed across his communicator. Other Earth ships had found similar stations. Each one revealed the same pattern. The Council had been suppressing any civilization that might challenge their authority. "Commander," his communications officer interrupted. "We're receiving the signal. It's coming from the surface of the planet below." The message was simple. "If you're not Council, please help." Rogers made a quick decision. "Prepare a landing team. Let's meet our neighbors." The planet's surface was beautiful, with purple grass and twin suns setting on the horizon. The local species, the Erins, looked almost like tall, graceful deer walking on two legs. Their leader, Elder Mira, welcomed the humans with desperate hope. "We thought we were alone," she said, her translator converting her musical language. "The Council told us we were too primitive, too violent to join galactic society. They said they were protecting us." Rogers showed her the station's records. "They told that lie to many worlds. But Earth has proved them wrong. We're here to help you break free." More messages arrived. Other Earth ships had made contact with different quarantined species. Each had a similar story. The Council had kept them isolated, stunted their development, all while pretending to be their protectors. "We've started sharing our technology with the Proxima colonies," his second-in-command reported. "The Centauri system is already modifying our drone swarm designs for their ships. 6 other species have asked to join our alliance." Rogers looked at the growing list of civilizations ready to stand against the Council. Each brought their own unique technologies and ideas, innovations the Council had tried to suppress. The Council's greatest fear, he told Elder Mira, wasn't that we were too violent. It was that we might show others how to resist. He opened a channel to Earth Command, watching as more and more species joined their cause. The Council had spent thousands of years building their power through division and control. Now, in just a few months, humanity had given hope to all those they had oppressed. "Send word to all ships," Rogers ordered. "Implementation of Operation Unity begins now." It's time to show the galaxy what real civilization looks like. The revolution wouldn't come through violence, but through something the Council feared even more: cooperation between free worlds. 1 year after Earth's first contact with the Galactic Council, the galaxy looked very different. The massive council chamber, once a place of oppression, now hosted representatives from every known species. At the center podium, Admiral Peters of Earth stood beside delegates from 20 formerly quarantined civilizations. Today marks the end of the old council and the birth of something new, Peters announced. The Galactic Alliance of Free Worlds is now a reality. The chamber erupted in cheers. Species that had once been labeled as too primitive or too violent now sat together as equals. The Arans had brought their advanced biological sciences. The Proxima colonies shared their sustainable energy technology. The Centauri contributed their knowledge of faster-than-light travel. Former High Counselor Vex watched from a corner, his once proud stance now humble. "How did this happen?" he muttered. "How did one primitive species change everything?" "Because you never understood what makes humanity special," Ambassador Wilson said, approaching him. "You saw our weapons and thought we were savages. You saw our divisions and thought we were weak. But you missed what really matters. We never stop learning, never stop helping others stand up for themselves." Above Earth, the first joint fleet of the Alliance prepared for its maiden voyage. Ships of different designs and cultures flew together, their crews learning from each other. Human drone swarms worked alongside Aran organic computers. Centauri energy shields protected Earth vessels. Admiral Peters left the podium to inspect the fleet. The command ship, Unity, represented everything the Alliance stood for. Its bridge crew included members from 6 different species, each bringing their own skills and perspectives. "Fleet status?" Peters asked as he reached the bridge. "All ships report ready," his Centauri first officer replied. "The Proxima energy grid is at full power. Aran navigation systems are online. Earth defense swarms are in position." Peters looked at the tactical display. 100 ships, representing 24 species, waited for his command. Just 1 year ago, these same species had been isolated and oppressed. Now they flew together, protecting each other's freedom. "The Council thought they could keep us apart," Peters said to his crew. "They didn't realize that sharing knowledge, helping others rise up, that's what humanity does best." The fleet's first mission wasn't about showing power. They were escorting ships filled with teachers, scientists, and engineers to other quarantined worlds. The Alliance would grow not through force, but through education and cooperation. Back in the chamber, Wilson addressed the gathered representatives. "We're not here to rule the galaxy. We're here to ensure no species ever faces oppression again. Every world has the right to develop in its own way, to contribute its unique gifts to our shared future." He gestured to the screens showing the Alliance fleet. "Look at what we've achieved in just 1 year. Imagine what we can do in 10 years, or 100, now that we're working together." The former council members who had chosen to join the Alliance nodded in agreement. They had learned that true power came not from controlling others, but from helping them grow. As the Unity led its fleet into faster-than-light travel, Peters thought about humanity's journey. From a supposedly primitive species to the architects of a new galactic civilization, they had done it not through conquest, but by showing others how to stand up for themselves. "Send a message to all ships," Peters ordered. "The age of quarantine is over. The age of cooperation has begun." The fleet disappeared into the darkness of space, carrying hope to countless worlds. Earth had shocked the galaxy not just with its savage response to threats, but with its even more surprising capacity for bringing people together. In the end, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its hidden technology or military might. It was the simple idea that every species deserved the chance to reach for the stars, and that together, they could build something greater than any empire. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had hoped for.